it's Dr. Dan Ritchie, owner of Miracles Fitness, and I'm here with Art, who actually is one of the handyman. I think you now do all the scheduling for Home Care by Design. And Art's going to share a little bit of his story with us. So Art, why don't you start with what you call the initial incident?
Well, it was a motorcycle incident. A fella pulled out in front of me, and I braked so hard to keep from hitting him that my left foot slipped off of the foot peg and bounced back up. But when I went to shift, I found out that all wasn't well. And I managed to ride about 8 miles before I got off of the bike, and they took me to the Danville Hospital. And they x-rayed me, and the doctor come out, and I probably turned about as white as a sheet because he said, "I can't fix your leg."
Oh, man.
I'm thinking they're going to amputate it. He said, no, he could tell immediately that that wasn't what was going to happen. He said, "What I mean is, I've never seen anything like that." He said, "We're going to take you down to the trauma center down in Indianapolis." So they took me down to Indianapolis, and a Dr. Brokaw, who was about the size of both you and I put together, he was huge and had hands the size of baseball bats. He walked in, he said, "Well, I got good news and I got bad news." He said, "The bad news is that's one of the worst breaks I've ever seen. But," he said, "I'm the guy that puts the Indy car drivers back together, so," he said, "I can fix it." He said, "Basically," he said, "what you've done, you've knocked the tibia plateau into nothing but just popcorn, tore the ACL, the LCL, tore the kneecap loose, and damaged the meniscus." He said, "Other than that, you're in pretty good shape."
Yeah, you did a pretty good job.
But he said, "You'll never walk without a cane or a crutch again."
Huh.
So about 8 months later, I was back on my motorcycle again.
Okay.
Never ever thinking that that would ever happen again. But then about 9 years later, which was I think 2005, I was out Memorial Day weekend riding with some friends of mine, and we had stopped in Lebanon to get a Coke. And this elderly gentleman pulled out in front of all four of us. And the situation was that I couldn't keep from hitting him. I didn't have enough time to stop. I scrubbed off as much speed as I could, but I was thrown over the hood of the car, and the state troopers measured it. They said I'd been thrown 75 feet and then tumbled another 25. And when I come to a stop, my left foot was right here.
And you probably weren't that flexible.
I am not that flexible. So they took me down to the hospital and put me back together again. But that time I basically had pretty much destroyed my femur on the left leg.
So show us all the hardware they put in between those two accidents you had. That's hold it up just a little bit higher. Make sure that's a lot of hardware.
This up at the top basically was to put the tibia back together with, you know, the bone glue and all that stuff that they used. And then later, this is what they put together when I broke the
okay,
the femur.
So how are you walking around today without all this stuff in?
Well, my knee was damaged so bad that over a period of years, the knee, Dr. Hagen did 2 or 3 arthroscopic surgeries, but he finally said there's nothing left to work with there. It's bone on bone. So then in 2011, I had the knee replaced, and I had to take all this hardware out in order to
put in new hardware.
Put in new hardware.
Okay. So I know you're now working at Home Care by Design, and just here recently you were training with one of our trainers, Amanda. Just share with people sort of what it's like to come back from major injuries. I'm pretty sure I've seen you walking around without a cane, and also I wouldn't even describe it as hobbling. So you've obviously recovered pretty well.
Well, a lot of people ask me how I did that. I just basically made up my mind I wasn't ready to be a gimp yet. And then I think it was 2011 was when I got the knee replaced. And then in 2013, I had colon cancer and had all my ascending colon removed. And then last year, I was working for Home Care by Design, and I messed my back up and had to have back surgery. But I'm fit enough that I went through your program with Amanda, so.
So there you go.
I'm just not ready to give up yet.
Well, that really is the message we want to share with people, right? It's really about never giving up, never quitting, keep trying, right? And in fact, a lot of times you can do a lot better than people say you're going to do, right? When they told you you'd never walk normal again, right?
Well, Dr. Brokaw told me later when he saw me walking, he said, I didn't think you'd ever walk again, but he said, without a cane, but he said, when I got to know you, I knew I was wrong.
Right.
He said, I could just tell that you weren't going to give up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we would love for you to check out Miracles Fitness, learn some of the things it has to offer for you. If you're recovering from maybe a major car accident or a major surgery, or maybe your knee just doesn't feel like it should or like you know it could, we'd love for you to come in. Amanda would be happy to work with you, just like she worked with Art here recently. And if you need anything from Home Care by Design, Art's got handyman lined up. So anything Home Care by Design can help you with as well, we'd love for that to work out. So again, from Dr. Dan Ritchie here at Miracles Fitness, with Art from Home Care by Design, really encouraging you to never give up no matter what your situation.